Howdy! This video is all about how we can use the distributive property to help us when we are solving equations. And we're just going to do one really quick example. Here it is. I have 2 times 4x minus 1 equals negative 42. So, like with any equation, the main goal is to figure out what does x equal. What number can I put where the x is and have it calculate out to be negative 42. So I'm going to draw my line down my equal sign. Whenever we see these parentheses, we need to handle those first. We need to get those out of the way so that we can start doing our inverse operations. And how we get those parentheses out of the way is by using the distributive property, which tells me if I have a number outside of parentheses, I can multiply it to all of the things inside my parentheses, and then my parentheses can disappear. So if I go 2 times 4x, that just gives me 8x. And then if I go 2 times negative 1, that gives me negative 2. And that's all still going to equal negative 42. So now this is just like an equation I've seen before. My parentheses are gone, and I can just start doing my inverse operations. So I'm going to start with the number that's furthest away from my x, which would be my minus 2. The inverse of minus 2 is plus 2. And I'm going to do that to both sides of my equation. So my minus 2 cancels out. Bring down my 8x, which is left over. Negative 42 plus 2 is negative 40. And now, a number right by a variable, this 8x, really stands for 8 times x. The inverse of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by 8 on each side. My 8's cross out, and now my x is isolated. It's all alone, which is exactly what I wanted in the first place. So if I calculate the other side, negative 40 divided by 8 gives me negative 5. And since the x is isolated, this is going to be my answer. But I want to make myself feel confident. I want to check my answer by plugging it back into the original problem. So I'm going to rewrite the original problem the way that it was. And now to check my answer, I'm going to take the answer I got, x equals negative 5, and put that number where the x is in my equation. And so that I can check, does it calculate out to be negative 42? So my equation stays exactly the same, except that where the x was, I'm going to put the number negative 5. And I'm putting that in its own set of parentheses. Now I'm just going to calculate. If I type all this into my calculator, is it going to equal negative 42? So let's start doing some order of operations. I'm going to do this 4 times negative 5 first, gives me negative 20. Now I'm going to calculate what's in parentheses, so that's negative 21. And now if I multiply this, 2 times negative 21 is negative 42, which is exactly what I wanted it to equal, and that's how I know that my answer is correct. So we use the distributive property. Remember, the distributive property is just this part up here where we took that outside number and multiplied it in. But because we used the distributive property, we were able to solve this equation.